I do have another guest speaker. We're in guest speaker bonanza. I happen to know a woman named Susie. She's a costume designer or a costumer, and she works for what's Gwen Stefani's husband? Blake. She works for Blake, and she's his costumer. So don't miss that day. She's coming, and she's gonna talk about that and what she does. So I know some of you are interested in costuming, and even if you aren't, you don't know what you're doing, what you want to do, you might get inspired by her and her path. All right, so I have the grain line. So the next step is pinning everything on your pants. So fold it in half, and you want to fold everything that's showing on the front out of your way, right? And you want to be right on the seam. So I take my time with this part, because this is how you get something more accurate. You know, you can break the rules and be sloppy and fast if you want to do something down and dirty, and I do it too. I'll just like throw it together. You know, I mean, I was cold one day at work, and I like had some puller fleece, and I just drew the kimono sleeve and cut it out, and I had a sweater. So, you know, that you can do that sometimes too. But we're gonna learn all the techniques. So we're folding right on the seam, and right here on the crotch seam, I want to make sure that's pinned really flat and really well. And then I want to make sure I get this inseam pinned correctly and pulled out. So, and it's sometimes, if you're like, this fabric has a print, but so that makes it a little harder to find things, but I'm gonna do my best. So I found the seam, and I'm just pushing the seam out to the edge, and I'm folding the other pant leg kind of back so that I'm clear on, I'm gonna be tracing this, just going around with the pencils, so I want to make sure that I can get a good clear trace. So I always spend a good amount of time doing this properly, and if I need to pin it back like this, I can. So on this, like this. So my side seam is laying out pretty flat on its own, and I can see my waist right here, because this has a little waistband on it, but I know where that seam is, where my waist is. So I'm good now on that. Now I want to find a grain line on here. So with this, I have a stripe. So I'm lucky. You might not have a stripe, so most likely you won't. So you'll just kind of have to eyeball it, looking at the grains in the fabric. So I'm gonna pick this little stripe right here because it's in the center, and I'm gonna just follow it down so I can make my grain line on here. So now I want to line up that stripe here on this guy, on my grain line on the paper, as best as I can. So I'm lining up this guy on that and making sure that this is in the same place on here as well, nice and flat. Okay, and then you can put your weights on it. I recommend using the big industry weights so it doesn't move. Could someone grab me one? So that doesn't move. And then start tracing. So I want to mark where that waist is. So I mark the waist, and I mark it over here too. Okay, and if you want to get, because there's a curve here, it's not straight. So I want to get that curve. And I mean, I can kind of eyeball it without doing this, but if you want to kind of put your finger in at the seam and fold it back and get where that curve dips down to, and that's why I'm doing that. And now I'm literally just tracing, but I want to make sure that it's flat. So I have to stop and push because it's a knit and things are bending and twisting. So I have to actually pull this out and get it nice and flat so I get the full shape of the crotch. And I want to make sure I'm getting this pulled out as well. And after we do this trace, we're gonna true up the lines, so you know it's gonna look better. You don't have to worry so much. And we don't need the seam allowance, you know, so this is perfect. I'm just tracing straight on the seam because we add seam allowance later when we're drafting, and we add the we can add the hem later, so this is all good. So this is just super fast. And then over here I didn't pin my side seam, so that's why I'm having to kind of roll it a little. I want to be right on my side seam to get it as accurate as possible. When you're doing a rub off of or a knockoff of a woven, and you could just take something apart, you know, if you want to. Obviously that's the easiest way. You can go to the thrift store, find a good fit of something, take it apart. But if you didn't want to take it apart, you want to pin the grain line on your woven shirt, and then you pin the seams. So you put pins in all the seams, and then you lay muslin on top and you rub it with waxy crayon. And the waxy crayon picks up the pins and it shows you where all the seam lines are. So that's how you do an authentic rub off without cutting up the fabric. So like you could go buy a $5,000 dress or whatnot and from the store, and then take it home and rub it off and then return it. I mean, I'm not recommending that, but people do that.
People do that. A lot of people do that.
You might have a boss who might tell you to go do that.
Okay.
So I'm good with that. We're not worried about a pocket or anything. We just want this fit, you know? We want the nice curve, how they curve the waistband, this shape. So, and then also remember, a lot of the fit with knits, it depends on the stretch. So that's a whole thing with knits, is analyzing the stretch, like, because different fabrics have different stretch, right? So like you might use the same pattern on this fabric and then the same pattern on another knit fabric, and it fits completely differently because the stretch on that fabric, it's like a double rib and it has a lot of stretch, and this fabric doesn't have as much. So, you know, let's talk about that with Ben on Wednesday, since he's a fabric expert, and see what he says about that. For me, I wasn't a knit specialist, I was a woven specialist. So I don't know how it's honestly analyzed, but for me, what I do is you guys are laughing, I pull it and you can get the ratio. So like, how much stretch can you get in that 1 inch? How much does it double when you pull it? And then measure the difference between your two different fabrics. Or you can just, like, I know this fabric has a lot of stretch in it, so I'm gonna find something similar. So hopefully if you're a designer, you have a good eye and intuition. Like, I know this is similar to this, and I can feel the stretch on it. So you wanna I'm just telling you to be mindful of that. Don't forget about that, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and true up my waist. And this is where you're gonna bring in your curves, and you're gonna decide which curves to use, whether it's the French curve or the hip curve. So remember I marked where that waist was? So it was more up here. So maybe I need to like bring this up a little more. I need to be mindful of where that waist was. I think I made that dip too much. So I'm actually, this ruler is working pretty decent. I'm happy. So I'm just gonna make it straight and bring it up closer to this guy. Now I'm gonna use this. So if this doesn't work, you can use your French curve. Just experiment. So, and I want to square this off a little bit. So you can experiment and find the best shape that works for you. And if it's not perfectly following your dashes, that's fine. So this kind of got a little bit dramatic. The curve's not really fitting, so I'm just sort of splitting this in half so that I can get the curve to fit in there better. It's okay to make some adjustments. And then I'm going to use the ruler to do the rest. And then here I want to do this crotch inseam curve here. And so on these pants, I want you guys to have notches. One notch here and one notch here on the side seam. So labeling, grain line, and notches are important. And let's see if I can use the ruler. Like this. And then this guy I want to keep straight. So I like curves. I try not to make everything, if it looks like the pattern was a little bit curvy, I try to stay true to that. If you want just a straight line, obviously your hip needs to have a curve, but if you want a lot more straight lines, because that's what you're going for, or because the price point for the company you're working at is like cheaper, so everything's straighter because it's easier to sew, costs less money. Okay, so this was my back. Oh, I did the wrong. Oh, I did it the wrong way. I was supposed to. No, I did it. That's fine. Okay, so this is the back. This is my center back, and this is the side seam. And I want you guys to do 7 inches down from the waist, a notch. So that's like right here. So this notch needs to match up with my front. So this is my back. Pant, and mine's a size medium. And I want you guys to have a center back notch too. Down. So this is 4 inches down, and this is 7 inches down. And there she blows. Oh, arrows, no. This is our grain line. So now we're gonna do the front. And it's the same process. I'm just gonna cut this away. To draft it so the side seam was over there, so the 2 side seams, sorry. I'm gonna just do this instead. Yeah, like this.
What is that? Do we only need, we don't, I mean, it'd be a dumb question, but we only make 1 notch, it's not a double notch because it's the
Oh, yes,
back
yes,
line?
yes. Yes. double notch.
This one. Okay.
And usually I draft the front first, that's why I'm all thrown off. And I did this the wrong way. You guys should be, it should be this way. This is, don't do it that way, you guys. It drives me nuts. Always do the right side, okay? Always do the right side. I didn't have my Wheaties this morning. I think for learning, as you know, instructionally, it's better to learn to do the right side of the body. Most of your patterns are symmetrical, and when we drape, we always drape the right side. So I want you guys to get into the habit of that later in life when you go maybe take other classes somewhere else or work in the industry. They're gonna have you like draft both sides, possibly your right side. This is what I want you guys to knock off. Okay? Sorry I did that. I don't want to confuse you. And it's double notched. Thank you. So this notch has to match the front. This gets sewn to the other side of the back, so they'll both be the same. But this one, you have to make sure these are the same distance down. So this is your back. And I'm gonna be quick about it because I want you guys, what time is it? Have time. Yeah. I've got like 5 minutes. So I want you guys to have about an hour. So I'm not gonna be, you guys are gonna be very specific about pinning, making sure your crotch is lined up, and you're gonna take the time to make sure the seams are correct. I'm gonna do it quick. You're gonna draw in a grain line to start. So I want my grain line to be here. And then you're gonna find the grain line on your pants and put a couple pins. So again, I've got a stripe, so I'm lucky. I'm gonna pick this one, and I'm gonna follow that stripe down. So it's here, and here, okay? So I'm gonna match my grain line up on here as best I can. Pull this out of the way. And put my weights on nice and flat. And then I'm gonna mark my waist, where that is on the front. And start tracing my center front crotch. Again, you guys are gonna make sure the seams are all pinned properly. I'm doing it quick. And here's the end, my hem. So when we trace, we always do the dashes, right? When we trace clothing and patterns, we use little dashes, and they're like, you know, an inch apart. And the reason we do that is that's how you're able to copy a curve. So you don't make dots and you don't draw lines. You always do the dashes. If you do small dashes an inch, half inch apart, then you can get an accurate curve. And then when you go back with the curve, hip curve, you can true it up. So rough
So
idea.
I'm noticing that this one here, this seam ends here.
Yeah, you guys, I'm not gonna take the time to make it perfect.
But is that what
No,
we're
you
looking
guys
for
need
when
it-
we knock it off?
No, you need to pin it properly. You need to make, just like I did the back,
Okay. So,
right?
yeah, so you weren't following down.
You gotta find your seam, it's here.
Gotcha.
This is the crotch seam. And you have to fold it back. I want you guys to have time to draft today in class. We don't have time. So you guys know what to do. You need to pin the seams properly. After you do the front, you're gonna have to take the time to, or do the back. I did the back first. You have to take the time to repin again. It's because if you're pinned down, if you're tracing the back and you have it pinned out, when you flip it over to do the front, the pins are in the wrong place. Is that clear? You have to fix the seams. You have to go take all the pins back out and retransfer the seams, because it has to be folded directly on your seam to get it accurate. Otherwise, you're not a professional. You're just doing something at home, like some crazy home sewer, right? So you're folding the seams back. Right? So I have to find that seam and fold it direct. If you don't know where the seam is or how to find that, ask me to help you. Okay? You want to be folded directly on the seams and get that perfect shape. See how much different that is now? So I'm glad I did that like that. So you can see it's entirely different if I'm just screwing around and not doing it right. Okay? Okay. So I'm not doing that for you on the front. I showed you on the back. I want to do it quickly today so that you guys have time to work. Okay? So like these are all pinned incorrectly. You know, I haven't pushed, you have to grab the seam, push it back, and put a pin. You're gonna need your pins. And you can use whatever pins you want for this. So push the seam back and lay it out nice and flat. You're gonna take the time to do that and smooth it out. So this has to be smoothed out, nice and flat and weighted down, right? Everyone got that? Okay, so I did my rough, crazy, and then you guys are gonna use the curves to true it up, okay? So I decided I wanted my waist to just be straight. And then this, I found this hip curve, the very curve, to be the best for mine, for these particular curves. Either this one or the other hip curve might work for you. The skirt, I call it the skirt curve. That one works good on the side seam. So, and then here. And this is an art. It takes time. So don't be hard on yourself. Over time, your patterns will get better, and you'll get faster, and just you'll be able to see things better, and you'll know what the curve needs to look like to get what you want. So this has to be out here. Obviously, my tracing wasn't very good. So see, and if the tracing's not good, this is a lot harder. So if you don't take the time to pin it right and do that and get an accurate tracing, then you're gonna be so confused over here and things won't line up. And you know, you want to keep the integrity of the shape. So there's this nice curve here at the knee, and then there's another curve up here at the hip. So I'm trying to keep the integrity of that, right? So, and if this is a fit that you like, that you wear and you like that fit and it's attractive, on you, you want to make that as accurate as possible. So here's my grain line, and you want to label it properly. What did I call it? Pant. You get to label it whatever you want, and it's the back, or it's block, and it's front, and it's got to have the size. So whatever your size is on here, you know, mine was a medium. Yours might be an 8 or 10. I think most of you it'll be a medium. So remember, this is my waistband, right? So that, I mean my waist. So there's no waistband. So when you make your pattern, you're gonna have to make your waistband, and I'll talk about that on Wednesday. So today I just want you to get this done. There's no seams on it. There's no waistband. No seam allowance, right?
No hem either.
There's no hem on it. It's just this basic block. And then I wanted you guys to put the notches in the, so this is the center front. Don't be afraid to do that. I think that's helpful when you're learning center front, side seam. This is the inseam, waist, hem, 4 inches down. So if you have to curve it, you might have to, because I went down 4. So you can either walk it to be more accurate. So I don't like to use that because this little metal piece makes it inaccurate. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right here, and mark it here. And then I did 7 inches down. So I want to make sure this is correct. So I'm gonna walk, because it has to match the back when I sew it together. So always think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right here, and this is the front, so it's just a single notch. So, and let's do a notch here too. Okay.
What is that, the hip?
This is the hip, center front and center back, and we'll do one on the inseam. And I like to do it like right below this curve here. So kind of like with your sleeve, when you put your notch, it's kind of like right below that curve. So let's do that notch there, so that'll help you sew those two together as well. So we'll do that on this guy too. Just, I'm eyeballing it like below the curve, and it's a double notch. So here is my front, my back. And did I do it wrong again? Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, I match up like this, right? It should be. So it's on a curve. So check it and make sure that this side seam is matching after you cut it, because it might be a little bit off. Remember, we had to check on our bodice block. So you'll have to measure. This is how I recommend doing it. So you're gonna measure the side seam here and walk it all the way down. And do it before you transfer it to manila, so you can make that adjustment now. So it's basically 37. Wait, no, I started up. So it's 30. Wait, I started at the 1. So it's 30. Yeah, it's 37. And so this one better be 37 too. If it's a little bit off, then I'm gonna just change it. So I'm about a 1/2 inch off. So I'm gonna make that adjustment. It needs to be here. So make adjustment as needed. If you wanna make it this one longer, you could. It's up to you. You can measure this, right? Always go back to the source and see where the mistake was, right? So just a rough measurement here, and it's like closer to 38. So 37. So this is the more accurate number. So I'm gonna go with that. So I'm gonna make that correction and measure up a 1/2 inch over here. Does that all make sense? Oops. To everyone? Am I not confusing?